Now, for all the latest business news, we're going to head now straight to the Swiss Alps, where the World Economic Forum is taking place. Our business editor, Kate Moody, has been following events there for us, and she joins us now live from Davos. Kate.
Hi, Thomas. Well, one of the biggest attractions of the World Economic Forum this morning was Joe Biden's speech. It was his last as U.S. vice president. He defended the values of free trade and globalization. He warned that Russia was trying to undo the European project and said the U.S. and Europe should lead the fight to protect democracy and fight against isolation and protectionism. Now, almost every theme he touched on was a not-so-subtle rebuke of Donald Trump. The incoming president has, of course, unveiled plans to try and undo some of those themes, very different policies in many of those areas. His incoming administration has been very much on the minds of many of the participants here in Davos. How he plans to lead the world's economy is one of the great unknowns that many of the business and political leaders here are thinking about. Now, among the question marks is how President Trump will deal with issues of climate change and renewable energy. To talk more about that, I'm joined by Frank Rijsberman, Director General of the Global Green Growth Institute. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Are you worried about what the Trump administration might do? Might he try and undo some of the progress that's been made towards fighting global warming?
President Trump cannot cancel the Paris Agreement. The Obama administration was hugely influential in putting the deal together, helping the French government to coming to a deal, but now countries signed up. It became law, international law last November. We would miss the US government if they didn't participate. It will slow things down, but he cannot cancel the deal.
Now, your organization focuses specifically on green energy, on green growth.
Yes.
What areas of the world are key for that at the moment?
Almost all of them, but particularly Asia, for instance. I believe that whether the Paris Agreement will be a success will have a lot to do with whether we can convince Asian governments no longer to build new coal-fired power plants, but to shift to renewable energy. But we're very excited that the changes in the market, the changes in technology are making that possible.
Is it the public or private sector that should be doing more to lead that kind of those kinds of advancements?
They badly need each other. Now, governments need to at least get out of the way, no longer have fossil fuel subsidies, better still help de-risk some of these new areas. Renewable energy in a country where there hasn't been any before, in Cambodia or in Fiji, is risky. So governments need to have the right policies, and they need to help with international climate finance to make the private sector first investments attractive enough. So they need each other.
Now, globally, the economy has been picking up rather slowly over the last year or so. How do you make the case to governments that you speak to that green energy is really compatible with their goals for economic growth?
I live in Seoul, and when we look out of the window there, you often see smog. If you live in Ulaanbaatar, if you live in Delhi or in Beijing, the argument is made by the environment. You know, air pollution, poor health has everything to do with clean energy. So we believe that governments will invest in part to live up to their Paris climate change commitments, but also for the immediate impact on health of their citizens. That, I think, helps make the case in a very powerful way.
As we head into 2017, what's the biggest risk for the environment?
Well, you've already indicated populism in Europe, new elections. Of course, if we get many governments that don't want to live up to these commitments, that would be a serious risk. We've seen what the refugees did to the whole debate in Europe. And we sometimes forget that these people came because they didn't have a future where they came from. So they need growth, they need jobs, they need a sustainable and inclusive model of growth. So at the cause, we think we are working to prevent the next wave of refugees, which is what government should keep in mind.
Dr. Frank Rijsberman, thank you so much for speaking to us on France 24. We've just got time for a quick check of the markets. We're seeing European indices trading mixed about midway through the session this Wednesday. The CAC 40 is down about 0.5%. The FTSE and DAX are trading just slightly above the flat line. We'll be checking in later on for all the events from Davos from our team throughout the week.
Business reporter Kate Moody in the snowy climes there of Davos. Thank you very much for that update.